Welcome back to the channel. My name is Carrie with bluescitypickin, and if you're new here, I'm a part-time reseller that goes around to estate sales, yard sales, thrift stores, pretty much anywhere, online auctions, ThredUp, and other places too, to find things to flip for a profit on eBay and only eBay. This is Ching number 69. This is for the 3 days, September 28th through the 30th, so through the end of the month. I had pretty decent sales as far as quantity and margin. Profit was pretty good. If you like reseller content, hi. I put out 3 videos a week, usually combos of what's sold and hauls, so you can see what I am picking up to resell. I usually put comps in there and tell you what I plan on listing things for, and then if you come back for the what solds, I will show you what I actually sold them for. So that is my shtick. Let's go ahead and get into it. So gross sales of $624.78. I sold 24 items in those 3 days, which is great. Gross sales is inclusive of taxes and shipping, so that is what the buyer was all in for. I do not do free shipping, so the sales price that I agreed upon with the buyer was $470.33. I had $65.71 into these from a cost of goods, and so I made $313, or 66.5% margin on the items that I purchased, which is great. Average profit for these 24 items was $13.04. The maximum profit I made was $78 on something, which was amazing, which you will learn. I'd never heard of it before, so this is a new bolo, at least for me it was. And there was something that I lost $2.87 on, but I'm just incredibly glad that it's gone. I've had it for a really long time, so happy to see that go. Let's see, hold on, I want to make sure that I didn't screw something up here. Yeah, nope, did not mess that up. Okay, I had, most of those items were bread and butter sales, and so what I mean by that is I profited less than $15 per item. So 18 of those were that, with an average profit of $7.24. And then I had 6 where I had profit above $15, and the average profit on those were $30.44. This brings my total for that 7-day period to $1,000 in sales. That's not right. That's not right. That's not right. Let me see, 47. Yeah, we're gonna try that. That's not right either. I don't know what is going on, child. Well, no, 52. Like, my spreadsheet works most of the time, guys, but it's not perfect. So, you know, I do my best. There, that is right. What am I talking about, y'all? Okay, back that train up. You get to see all of my bloopers today. 46 items sold over that 7-day period, 1,063 in sales price or gross sales, $479 in profit, $10 profit per item, and 54% margin. There were some weird things going on with my sales last week that, or like the first 4 days of the week, that made them be a little bit lower, but you know, I am okay with that. It is what it is. Reselling is a law of averages, and my average for the week is really good. I'm super happy with $479 in profit for the week, or for the past 7 days. All right, I had something that sold the same day I listed it, and then I had something that took 431 days that I lost $2.87 on, and that's the first thing we'll talk about. This is a pair of Nike React Element 55 running training shoes. I don't know why I paid $15 for these at a regular Goodwill last July, but I did. I've learned so much since then. This is July of 2024. So I finally sold these for $15, and I lost $2.87 on them after 431 days, but they are gone, and I'm happy they are gone. Next up is a vintage white maroon duck wall hanging cottagecore granny. I picked this up in October of 2024 for $2.68 at a regular Goodwill. It sold for $8, and so I made $3.39 after 341 days. Next thing that sold is a blue Jacobian Bucilla embroidery special edition stamped pillowcase pair. I had $1 into this from an estate sale last month. It sold for $6, and so I made $3.64 after just 6 days. Next is a spider women's jacket. I actually bought this for my daughter and she did not end up liking it. I had picked it up at a regular Goodwill last December for $6. Got an offer for $12, which I accepted, and so I made $3.74 after 282 days. Next item is a Disney creepy cuff, cutie cuff. It was a villain. It was Cruella de Vil. I picked this up with about 4 or 5 other little cuff creatures. I think I've made, $30, $40 on those pickups over the last 6 months. I had $1 into this from the Goodwill bins back in May. It sold for $8.50, so I made $4.62 after 114 days. And I want to say that was the last one I had. I think so. All right, next up is a vintage Melmac Color Flight oval divided serving bowl dish in gray. The other brand on there was Brand Shell. I think they could search both, so I did put both on there. I paid $2 for this at an estate sale back in August. It sold for $10.80, and so I made $5.86 after 27 days. Let's see. Next up is a vintage Mattel Barbie Ken red corduroy plaid vest and hat. This is from the 60s, from the set Victory Dance. I had $2 into this from an auction back in August. It sold for $11.34, and so I made $6.11 after 28 days. Sorry, had something else going on for just a second. Next is another really cute sale. This was a vintage baby Oshkosh Bagosh vest back denim overalls. They were footy. And 3 to 6 months, so stinking cute. I had $1 into these from an estate sale back in August. They sold for $9.50, so I made $6.62 after 31 days. Next is a Funko Pop that came from one of my kiddos' room clean outs. Yep. This is Stitch in Rollers. It is from 2021. It was a fall convention exclusive. I put nothing into this because we've had it for a while. It sold for $10, and so I made $7.05 after just 2 days listed. Next is a creepy doll from West Germany. This is a vintage 1962 vinyl Goebel doll, ERBS. Girl, she was made in West Germany. I had 88 cents into her from the bins back in April of this year. She sold for $9, and so I made $7.33 after 174 days. I picked up multiple creepy dolls that day. Had a really low cost of goods, and I believe all of them have sold for right around $10 to $20 a piece, so not bad sales there. All right. Next is another thing from Toy Clean Out in Our House. This is Mickey and Minnie Mouse and Friends Munchling figures. There were 10 of them here, nothing into this. They sold for $10, and so we made $7.82 after 165 days. This is from my Harry Potter clean out. This is a Funko Pop of Remus Lupin from Harry Potter. Nothing into this, sold for $12, made $8.05 after 2 days listed. Next is a Jellycat Jelly Kitten. I think it is their baby line. I don't know that this line is active anymore, but this was a Sam the Spider plush. Baby activity toy chime, rattle, crinkle. The sound did still work on it. I had $1 into this from the Goodwill bins back in June. It sold for $14, and so I made $9.24 after 73 days. Next item is a set of 3 vintage Fisher-Price Little People Disney characters. This was Donald Duck, Minnie Mouse, and Pluto. I paid $2 from this in a huge Little People buyout back in May. They sold for $13.95, and so I made $9.48 after 95 days. Next up, I thought was super cool when I picked it up, and it just wasn't selling. So when I got an offer for $14.25, I went ahead and accepted it. This is a wooden old man spirit emerging out of parasite wood, hand carved burl wood, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. I paid $2.10 for this at a regular Goodwill back in January. Like I said, it sold for $14.25, so I made $10.74 after 267 days. Didn't take up a lot of space. It was really cool, so I would probably still pick that again for $2. Next up is my first local pickup sale on eBay. This individual actually messaged me, said, hey, I'm local to your town. Do you mind if we switch this to local pickup so I can avoid shipping? And I said, sure. This is a J. Jill Love Linen Women's Medium blue-green 3/4 sleeve button. It was 100% linen. It was definitely lag and look, tunic style. It was super cute. Picked this up for $3 at a Goodwill back in July. I think this was on their 50% off day. It sold for $19, and so I made $12.95 after 64 days. And she's already come and picked it up. Next is another from my Harry Potter shelf clean out. This is Buckbeak Flocked Harry Potter. It was a Hot Topic exclusive. I did have the protector with it. Nothing into it. It sold for $16, and so I made $13.26 after 5 days. Man, I had a lot of personal clean out stuff sell this week. That just shows you, like, or these 3 days, don't sleep on listing your own stuff. If you have it, just go ahead and get it listed. It'll sell. If it's collectibles, which is mostly what we sell from our personal collections and clothes. This is a Lego Creator 3-in-1 exotic peacock. You can also make a dragonfly or a butterfly. I had picked this up for myself many years ago. We cleaned out our Lego collection of things that we weren't going to put together, and this was one of the victims. Nothing into it, sold for $17, and so made $13.33 the same day it was listed. Next item is a Disneyland Paris. It's a Small World pin. This was Lilo and Stitch from It's a Small World overlay. Nothing into this, came from one of my kiddos' cleanouts. It sold for $19, and so we made $15.84 in just 3 days. Next is an Uncanny X-Men lot, the first of 2 that sold this week. This was a 7-comic run from 1985. It sold for $30.99. I had $10 into this from a Whatnot auction back in April. It sold, so my profit was $16.26. I had only listed it 13 days ago because I found out I hate listing comics. Yeah, there's that. Next is another Harry Potter Funko Pop from over here. This was a Minerva McGonagall BAM exclusive where she was the cat. It sold for $25, and so I made $19.79 after just 3 days listed. Next item is another Uncanny X-Men lot. This was a 7-issue run from the 80s. Again, $10 into this from a Whatnot auction back in April. Sold for $39, and so I made $20.92 after 15 days listed. And then next up are my 2 best sales of the week, and these actually came from the Goodwill bins last weekend. I picked them up on Saturday last weekend at the Goodwill bins. The jelly cats just like appeared in front of me as I was walking up to the bin. They had rolled out new ones. I walked straight forward. It was right in front of me. I picked up one of the bunnies, 2 of the bunnies, and it was 2 jelly cats. So that was great. This one was a jelly cat large. So this was one of the bigger ones. Bashful bunny. It was cream. So soft, plush. His foot did have some damage on it, so I did have to repair his foot. I restuffed his foot and sewed it up, and he sold for $40. I had $3 cost of goods that day because I bought a bunch of shoes and bags and some heavier items. So I made $31.83 and it sold the same day it was listed. And like I said, a very minimal like stuffing and stitching for a $31 profit, $31.83. Yes, please. Next is something you need to be on the lookout for. I had never heard of this brand. It was sitting in the bin after everybody had already gone through it. I was down at the end that didn't have the bags when they rolled the new bins out. But after the crazies went through the bins, I walked down to the bin that had the bags. I found a Dooney and Burke bag, and then I walked around and I found this bag. This is a Go Ruck, is the brand, Go Ruck. 57-liter kit bag, camo black, and it had the red, white, and blue arrow patch on the front. Paid $3 for this. It was a very large, like definitely like a heavy duty duffel, right? Like, so if I felt it, and I was like, that feels super nice. So I looked at it, didn't recognize the brand. It was dirty, like dusty dirty. So I got it home. I used my lint roller on it and got some of the dust off of it, threw it in the wash. It came out beautiful. It sold for $100 within a day of listing it. And so my profit was $78. I could have held out for more, but I got an offer for the 100. It didn't have the crossbody like shoulder strap with it. And I'm like, I'm not going to be greedy. I was not having great sales up until that point before this 3-day period. And I'm like, this was like at the very beginning of the 3-day period that I'm explaining to you. So I'm like, I'm just going to accept this and maybe it will domino into some better sales. And I did end up with 24 items selling over that 3-day period. So sometimes it's better for me to just take something, make 78 bucks on it and move on. I'm not sad about that. I don't get attached to my stuff that I buy to sell. And so happy with that. Where did my profits come from? 51% of my profits came from Goodwill, primarily from those 2 large items at the end that sold. I made $110 just on those 2 items that I had picked up at the bins last weekend. I had 27% came from home clean out, so all those collectibles that we've been cleaning out. 12% from Whatnot, and a little bit of mishmash from estate sales, auctions, and yard sales. Where did the profits come from as far as genres? Collectibles coming in clutch this week with 37% of my profits. Clothing at 31%. Didn't really sell much clothing this 3-day period. I do include accessories and shoes in that category. So that's where the Go Ruck bag and the profit loss on like the Nike Reacts and stuff like that show up. 8% on household items, which is pretty low, and 24% on toys, which is where the jelly cat showed up, or both jelly cats, I guess. So super pleased with this 3-day period, hitting $1,000 in sales for that 7-day period, despite a slow start was great for me. Very, very happy. Consistency is still continuing to prove out for me. Taking offers, sending offers, listing. I do spend, I was going to say, like I have like a pretty good draft bank right now. So usually every couple of weeks I'll spend a day and like really work on getting my drafts built up so that I can just kind of chill for the next few weeks, because I do this part-time. And so I need to make sure that I'm not losing track of anything else. I will be drawing or I think I should have already drawn the winner of my 1K giveaway by this time this video goes up. So go check that out. Thank you so much for coming back, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.